Hello, my name is Monica Lehman, and this is my Step 161 final presentation. This semester, I was at Greeley Central High School helping out Mr. Harmon in his U.S. History and Colorado Studies classes. This is my mission statement. My classroom will be a safe and comfortable learning environment in which all students are supported emotionally, socially, and cognitively in order to build a foundation for lifelong learning. Alright, to set the scene, I am a U.S. history teacher and the current unit for my class is the Industrial Revolution. Today's lesson will be about the assembly line. For this lesson, I'm going to assume that my class period is an hour and a half long, as that's how long the class periods were at my high school, and that's how long the class periods were at Greeley Central High School as well. So the essential question that students should be able to answer by the end of the class is, how did the assembly line affect the Industrial Revolution? These are my learning objectives. 1, students will be able to compare the manufacturing processes prior to the development of the assembly line to the assembly line itself. And 2, students will be able to explain the importance of the assembly line during the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so prior to this lesson, we will have already spent a few class periods learning about the Industrial Revolution, so students will already have the understanding that the Industrial Revolution was a rapid major change in the economy that was marked by the general introduction of power-driven machinery, which transitioned the United States from a largely rural society into an industrialized urban one. So for this class period, the majority of the class will revolve around an activity. It will take roughly an hour. For this activity, students will be instructed to make a total of 50 cardboard models total as a class. And they will have 20 minutes to do so. All of the materials will already be provided and organized at the front of the classroom for easy access. I plan on doing this before the class actually starts. In addition, each student will be provided a handout with step-by-step instructions with pictures on how to build the model cars. And I will also be available at all times if the students have any questions. I will put a digital timer up on the board in the front of the classroom and they can start crafting as soon as I start the timer. For time purposes, I'm not going to go super in depth on how exactly this car is going to be made. To simplify it, students will need to trace and cut out the shape of the car, glue it to a floor and a roof, cut out some wheels, and then stick them on skewers and glue those wheels onto the car. So it will essentially look like this down here, but I won't require my students to add the details or paint the car just to save time. I will also provide incentives. So I will tell my students that if they are successful in making 50 model cars within 20 minutes, we will have a pizza and ice cream party next class. However, if they fail, they will have an extra reading assignment and a quiz on that assignment next class, and they will undoubtedly fail. So after that activity, the students will likely be very disappointed because they weren't successful. I may or may not mess with them a little bit and tell them what their assigned reading is, how hard the quiz might be, etc., etc. And then after a couple minutes, I guess I'll decide to give the students a second chance at that pizza party, essentially making me the coolest teacher ever. But this time, I will change things up a bit. I will instruct the students to quickly line up the classroom tables into one long line. Depending on the size of the classroom or time, I may also just have everything already set up in the gymnasium or a bigger classroom. So there will be one long table, and each section of the long table will be a different station. 2 or 3 students will be assigned to each station and will remain at that station through the rest of the activity, and it will essentially look like this. Alright, so once they are all set up, I will start the timer and they will have 20 minutes to make 50 model cars. After 20 minutes, they will be successful, which means they get their pizza and ice cream party and they have no homework for that night. After the activity has been finished, it will be about an hour into the class, so we will still have about half an hour left. After the students and I clean up the area, I will have them return to their seats and will end with a short lecture on the assembly line. Before I give the lecture, though, I will first ask them a couple questions on the activity. I will ask them questions like, why were you successful the second time around, and how do you think this sort of setup affected the United States during the Industrial Revolution? Like I said before, I will wrap up the class with a short lecture explaining what the assembly line is and how it was first installed by Henry Ford. And then ultimately, I will answer the question, how did the assembly line impact the United States in the Industrial Revolution, which I asked the students before and was the essential question for the day. All right, modifications. So these are some of the modifications that I will incorporate into the lesson. For the activity, all students will be given simple step-by-step instructions with pictures. If a CLD student would like one, I will have translated instructions available as well in their native language. I will also make instructions for a less complicated model car available if a student would like to do a simpler car. And during the assembly line portion of the activity, I will ensure that there are a variety of simple tasks to make it easy on all students. For the wrap-up section, I can pre-print my lecture notes if needed, and I will always make myself available for one-on-one time if a student wants extra help. And that's my whole presentation. Thank you.